$6,700, that is the question. Can you guys live with that amount of money in New York City? And I pose that question because a lot of people are living from paycheck to paycheck with a whole lot less than that. In New York City, they're living on $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, but not $6,700. Now, 50 Cent's son says that's the amount of money that 50 was giving his mother to raise him. And a lot of people don't realize 50 Cent's baby mom was getting $25,000 a month, and it wasn't enough for her. She wanted more. So 50 says, you know what? You want more? Let's go to court. He took her to court, people, so the courts can iron it out, because this woman wanted a whole lot more. He bought her a house, the same amount of money that he gave his grandmother to get her house. He figured because she was raising his son, why not? The mansion burned down. She claimed that 50 Cent is the one who burnt it down. But listen, this is all alleged because it wasn't proven in a court of law. But a house burned down. So I'm wondering, all this money, this $6,700, she could have taken 1 month of that money and put it on a down payment for a house in Atlanta, Georgia. Back then, homes were cheap in Atlanta. You could have gotten a mansion for $200,000, okay, or $300,000 back in the day. Hell, you can still get that today if you look real good in certain parts. But my point is, what'd she do with all this money that he was sending? So the baby mama was under the impression if 50 took her to court, that she would get more money. So she says, okay, take me to court, and you'll see I'm going to be loaded with your dough, allegedly. So she didn't mind him taking her to court. But he just wanted to take her to court, he said, because she kept asking for more and more and more, and nothing was good enough. Nothing would please her. So he said, look, I'm taking you to court. And we're going to let the court decide how much you should be getting, or whatever the court says, that's how much I'm going to give you every month. And I'm telling you, ladies, don't be greedy. When you're greedy, you fall short, okay? You drop the money bag because of lifestyle. She figured her son deserved the same type of lifestyle that 50 Cent was living in, the big mansion, the Bentleys, all the big name brand cars, and the lifestyle and the big homes, etc. So she says, okay, take me to court. He took her to court, and the judge says, lifestyle, yes. But it's a lifestyle that your child is accustomed to. Now, mind you, the child is not living with 50 at a time. He was living with a mom in New York City. So the lifestyle in New York City is a whole lot different from the lifestyle 50 Cent was living at the time. Talk about being blindsided. Okay, she didn't see this one coming. So 50 Cent was rolling up in a mansion and rolling up in all the fine cars, but that was not the lifestyle Marquise was living in New York. So the judge says, okay, based on your lifestyle, I'm going to rule and I'm going to give your mama this amount of money for you based on your lifestyle in New York City. So from that $25,000 that she was getting from 50 Cent, the judge says $6,700. That's where that $6,700 came from. Okay? And that goes to show, ladies, when you're greedy, you drop the ball, you drop the bag. And that's what 50 Cent's baby mom did. She dropped the bag. 50 Cent said he was trying to get her into some type of career that she enjoyed, something that she liked, whether it was real estate or designing, whatever her heart desired, because he had the money at the time to put her through school, for her to do something that she loved and to make money at it. So according to 50 Cent, every time he asked her the question, what does she want to do? What are her hopes and dreams? What do you want to get into? Is it real estate? Is it designing, etc.? He said she could never give him a clear answer. But he kept pushing and pushing, and one day she did give him a straight answer. She said, listen, you already made it. Why should I even go to work? You got the millions. I don't need to work. We don't need to work anymore. So 50 said, he got his answer right then and there. He knew that this woman was not about anything. She was just about sitting on her black behind, collecting the checks, and not wanting to do nothing for herself, not elevating herself in life, because 50 Cent is sure he came up on the grimy, okay? He was selling drugs, etc. But once he got the bag, he knew how to flip it 100 ways and hustle to get and to maintain what he has. So he figured anybody around him got to hustle and get it, okay? He's going to help them, but you got to get it. She wasn't about that. So he said, you know what? This ain't about nothing. You know, he figured he couldn't be around her in her circle. All he can do is support his son. So then he took her to court because she wanted more. She figured, okay, you're the son of 50 Cent. That's Marquise. 50 Cent's son, you deserve the best. You deserve everything. You deserve all the the shoes in the world, the sneakers, etc. So I guess she must have been spending that money on material things instead of putting away something for him so he can maybe start a business later on in life. Because the money that 50 Cent was sending her, she could have set aside a small amount for him, because apparently she was dependent on his money alone to support her and her son. Allegedly. While really, that money was only for her son. She was supposed to go out there working and, you know, just maintaining herself. But it sounds like to me she was dependent on that money to support both of them. 50 Cent says that when he tried to get her to focus on a career and to help her in that career, when he saw that she wasn't about that, he just had to, you know, step away from the situation. Now, mind you, people, they were not together. So he didn't have to help her. He didn't have to extend a hand. But he figured, okay, this is the mother of my child. If my child is going to be raised by her, I want my child to see somebody positive, somebody doing for themselves, to motivate my child to do for himself. But what happened? Because she dropped the ball in motivating herself to do better for herself. She raised a child, Marquise, who is just like her. So Marquise figured that he was so entitled that his father should have been doing more for him. And I guess his mother planted that seed in his mind, planted that seed early on that you should have been getting more. So now Marquise is 25 going on 26, and that's his narrative now. He comes out in the news media all the time talking that ish about his father this, his father that, what his father didn't do for him, and talking about his child support. Well, I think in New York State, you got to be 21 before child support is over. Marquise is 25 going on 26. Child support is long over. So if Marquise's mother ran through that money that she was being sent, oh well, Marquise is on his own now. Because 50 Cent says he has no love in his heart for his son, not because he didn't want to love him, it's because he said, how long can you keep loving someone who don't love you back? And whenever Marquise speaks about 50 Cent, it's so negative that you can overlook. You know, you can overlook your child speaking ill of you. And you can always chalk it up to, you know, they're young and dumb. But I think what really hurt 50 was when Marquise posed in this above shot, this picture with the guy's son who shot 50 Cent. That really hurt him. You want to hurt him to the point where you're going to make friends with his enemies? That's where I think 50 drew the lines. And he said, you know what? I can't trust my son, because if he's going to take a picture of this guy's son, the guy who shot me, okay? If he's going to take a picture with the son, no telling what else he's doing behind my back. Maybe he's plotting against me. Who knows? Okay? Because that was a strong message. And if I was in 50 Cent's shoe, I would have been thinking the same way. Okay? If I'm in that lifestyle and this guy shot me, his son and my son is about the same age. They meet up in a club. They take him pictures. Mind you, it might have been innocent, right? Maybe Marquise don't even know this guy, but he just took a picture. Somebody got a camera and said, okay, you two stand there together. Let me take a picture. And these two young men don't even know that they're supposed to be adversaries based on their parents' history. and this person was trying to make a buck off of the picture and put it out there in the news video, either that or the person was trying to piss 50 cents off, or maybe settle a score. Got these two young men now in the forefront, and the buzz is on about, Marquise taking a picture with 50 enemy's son. So Kyle said he didn't even know who Marquise was until days after someone told him who he was. And just by the mere fact that he didn't know Marquise, I'm thinking Marquise didn't know him either, because it was in a club. They don't know each other. Nobody gave them the little buzz that, okay, this guy, his father shot your father. Nobody told him. Somebody just wanted to make a little coin, a little buck off of the picture, put it out there. Now, 50 look at this picture and he's thinking, okay, if they were able to get to my son that easily, no telling what else they're able to do with him against me. So 50 is feeling like, you're friends, but my enemy. Okay? That's how he's feeling. What I think Marquis should have done was went to his dad and said, listen, I didn't know this guy. This so-and-so told me to stand there and take a picture with this young man. I didn't know that his father shot you, or else I would have never taken a picture with him. But when you don't have that conversation, a lot is not clear. And then everybody goes about their separate ways, thinking whatever they want to think. Now, 50 Cent is thinking, okay, my son is, he might betray me. He might be, the Judas in my family to betray me, so I can't trust him. And of course, his son is thinking, Marquise is thinking that my father didn't give my mother enough child support. Now, where did he get that from? A child might grow up thinking they didn't get enough sneakers or jerseys, material stuff. But they're not going to go around saying the child support wasn't enough. That's what parents say. Parents instill that in their brain. You ain't got enough sneakers. You ain't got enough this. You ain't got enough, But that's all coming from the mom perspective. And I hope the mom sees it now, that she is the one who molded this young man to thinking that he should be entitled. He should be having all these things that his father have without working for it. That's 50 Cent's point, that Marquise is not working for all these things that he wants. And 50 Cent says, listen, the way I grew up, I worked hard, I hustled. Yes, I sold drugs, but when I got the money, I flipped it 100 ways to get to where I am, making my music, etc. But he don't see his son trying to do none of that. So 50 is like, I'm done. It's a wrap. And it's just that old story of greed. When you're so greedy and you want what another person have, now you're not even with this man and you want a part of what he's got. You think you're entitled and you should have a part of it just because you have a child for him. No, I don't go that way. You got to earn your way in this world. And whatever money that this man gives you is for that child, for you to raise the child. But you don't tell the child he needs 20 pairs of sneakers. And when 50 Cents give you the money for the 20 pair, you go out there and get 4 and you keep the rest of the money. It's a hustle. Allegedly. So I'm sure 50 Cents felt as though this one was hustling him. And he said every time he had to write a check, it felt so wrong because he knew that she told him that she didn't want to work. So the name of the young man who took the picture with 50 Cent's son, Marquise, is Kyle McGriff. And his father is serving a lifetime in prison for a whole host of crimes that he committed, including shooting 50 Cent. So imagine being shot 9 times. You're laid up in the hospital. You're close to dying. You make it. You give your seed. You give that sperm to bring forth this child into the world. So moving forward, years later, your son is posing in the same picture with the son of the man who shot you. So guys, how would you feel if you were in 50 Cent's shoe? You guys remember when Shaniqua's house went up in flames? Well, she blamed 50 Cent for that fire. She said he's the one who burned the house, got somebody to burn that mansion down. And at the time she was living with, I guess, some relatives, like 4 different relatives in the house. But who would want to burn up their own child in a house fire? So that didn't make any sense to me. So she filed a lawsuit suing him for $50 million for setting the $2.4 million mansion that she was living in at the time, for setting that ablaze because they were going through the courts with this child support, trying to iron it out. So it's unclear who burned the house down. Shaniqua said 50 burnt it. 50 said Shaniqua burnt it. We don't know, but only the good Lord knows, okay? But in terms of her lawsuit for the $50 million that she had against 50 Cent, it didn't get anywhere. I don't know if her lawyer told her that she didn't have a good case or what, but it didn't get anywhere. But it is very clear that 50 and his son always had a strained relationship. And whenever a child and his parent have a strained relationship and the parents are not together, we always figure it's coming from that parent, the one who's raising the child. That parent is poisoning the child against the other parent. So this is what I'm looking at, that Shaniqua poisoned Marquise against his father. And that is so wrong, folks. Ladies and men, if you have kids, you're not together with the baby mom or the baby dad, don't poison the child against that parent. Because you might not have a relationship with that parent anymore, but the child deserves to have a relationship with that parent. But folks, I'm telling you now, a lot of women out there would wish that man would give them $6,700 a month. They can do a whole lot with that $6,700, okay? And Marquis' mother did not have to live in New York. She could have moved out of New York, take that $6,700 across the river to New Jersey or some other state and make it work. If it wasn't enough and she couldn't stretch it 100 ways, make it work in some other cheaper state. But here's Marquis complaining that $6,700 was not enough. Now he's a child, okay? What does he know about $6,700 not being enough, unless his mother told him it wasn't enough? Because to me, it's more than enough to raise a child in New York.
It's $6,700 a month. Okay. That's not in my eye, it's not a lot of money. I've seen a lot of money. That's not a lot of money.
And that's what I mean. He was supposed to be the child in this relationship between 50 and the mother. So what is he doing talking about spending a lot of money? He's seen a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. Unless he got it from the mother. Because like I said before, for some women, that's a whole lot of money and they can flip it 100 ways, okay? Now, 2008 to the current time, that's a long time. That's how long 50 Cent and his ex had not been together. They split up in 2008. Marquise was 21 or 22 in 2019. And for the life of me, for him to grow up so bitter against his father, it's coming from only one source. So Marquise is doing his rounds. He's making, the rounds with all different interviewers. And he said, listen, $6,700 was just not enough for a celebrity child. And I'm a celebrity child. So I wanted more money to do more things with, to buy my stuff, okay? Because I'm the child of a mega millionaire, 50 cents. Here's the footage.
Raise a celebrity A-list child.
I paid $350,000.
Your child is not me.
Brother.
Your child is not me. Your child never been on a private jet before. Your child don't get fly like that.
So that was Marquise saying that the interviewer's child is not him because he's been on a private jet before. He has been flown around the world in private jets. He's been in mansions. He's had all these luxurious cars. And so you can't compare me to your child because I'm not a regular schmegular Joe. And this is what 50 Cent was talking about. He feels entitled. He feels as though he should have whatever his father have. He should be a part of it. He should be luxuriating in the wealth. And 50 Cent says, no, I earned it. You got to earn it. This is why 50 Cent said he tried to set him up when he was very early in life in a sneaker business because he loves sneakers like most young men do. And he figured, okay, since you love sneakers so much, let's open up this online sneaker business. I'm going to guide you in it. I'm going to put the money up. I'm going to set you up. Marquise didn't want no part of it because 50 Cent says his mother wanted to open up a boutique. And so they never pursued it. The mother never pushed him towards this sneaker business. And 50 Cent said, had he been in the sneaker business, had his mother convinced him to get involved in it, he could have been a millionaire today on his own merit. Not his father's money, his own money. Of course, his father would have started the business for him, put the collateral out, but he would have been making money. Because 50 Cent says, look at all the sneaker business out there today. How many billions of dollars is rolling in? But Marquise, being young and dumb, of course, he needed good guidance. And that's where the mother comes in. And if the mother is not able to give him good guidance, then he's not going to get it because he hated the father. He wasn't going to listen to anything the father said. So 50 Cent was relying on the mother to guide him in this direction, and she didn't guide him. So the money bag was dropped, not only by his mother, but by him. So today, they don't have nothing to show for it. And Marquise is making the circuit talking about child support still at the age of 25 because that's the only thing that was their go-to. He and the mama. That's what they had to fall back on, the child support payments. But that's been dried up at the age of 21 in New York City, New York State. So what do they have left but the clothes that they bought with the money and whatever else they bought? But in terms of setting themselves up for a financial future that 50 Cent wanted both of them to get involved with, and they never latched on to, now they're left, they dropped the ball, let's face it. They dropped the money bag. So for the past couple of months, all we've been hearing about is Marquise complaining that his mama didn't have enough child support.
So when he pays this entitlement shit out in the public, he's entitled. Bro, I could have went to school and flunked out 5-10 years, and I didn't. Because I'm not entitled, and I do not care about no bread, bro. And if I really care about some bread, I'll be kissing his ass.
So that was Marquise saying if he was really entitled and felt entitled, he would be kissing his father's ass to get to that money. But this is the thing, young people. If you're not in a good relationship with your parent, you do not get out on social media and bash them, because that's not solving the problem. It's only exacerbating the situation. And you're never going to iron it out. You're never going to get to that place where you can talk it out as an adult. So by all definitions of entitlement, Marquise feels as though he have a right to his father's wealth, allegedly. And he is set apart from other children his own age because his father is a celebrity with a lot of money. So by all definitions, entitlement is the fact that someone feels as though they have a right to something. And Marquise feels as though he have a right to his father's wealth. So that is the definition of entitlement. So when he says he doesn't feel entitled to, he doesn't feel that sense of entitlement, you ought to go look up the definition. He's a walking example of what it means. So this is what 50 Cent say about entitlements. This is how he feels about his son feeling entitled.
Entitlement creates resentment. If Marquise asked for a pair of Jordans on Monday, his mother would make sure they were on his feet by Tuesday. It still didn't make him happy. Instead of being excited to rock his new pair of Jordans, all Marquise could think about was all of the retro Jordans he didn't have, all the different flyaways and colors that weren't in his closet. When he should have felt gratification, all he really felt was disappointment. My issue with Marquise wasn't that he wanted all those sneakers. When I was a kid, I wanted sneakers too. The difference is that I was willing, make that determined, to do the work necessary to obtain them. I wouldn't for a second want Marquise to have to resort to the type of work I put in to get my kicks. At the time, I perceived selling drugs as the only viable option in my environment, so I pursued it. Marquise had so many more options in front of him than I ever had. I just needed to see him pick one and put in the work.
And since he didn't pick one because he was so young at the time, 50 was going to start him up again in a business, a sneaker business, fund it, spearhead it, get it off the ground, but it would be his son's business. But you know, when you lack vision and all you can see is the prize in front of you and you can't look any further, that's what happens to Marquis. So in an interview, 50 Cent was asked, do he love his son? And that is something that I guess most parents do not even fathom. Somebody asking them, do you love your child? Do you love your children? Of course, it would be an of course. Here's what 50 had to say about that.
50, love your son? I used to. You ask yourself how long, a complicated question would say, how long can you love something that don't love you back?
I'm going to tell you guys something. I do believe deep down in my heart that Marquis love his dad and 50 love his son. But it's the people that's in between, like his mom, talking in Marquis' ears, okay? That is the problem. That's what I see. If 50 and Marquis, now that Marquis is an adult, and if he can sit down one-on-one with his dad and really talk about it, it's going to take a couple of days, folks, because they got a lot to mull over. I believe that they can come to a resolution to start rebuilding their relationship and repairing it. Maybe they need some one-on-one therapy with Iyanla Vanzant. Who knows? Maybe she can fix it. She fixes other people's problems. Now here's Marquis continuing his interview, complaining about $6,700 was not enough for him.
Like to have nothing, all right? I had to rebuild my life over with $6,700 a month.
So at this point, the interviewer had to remind him that may not be enough for you, bro, but it's a whole lot of money for other people, okay? So you got to put it into perspective. And here's what Marquis had to say on that particular scenario.
Marquis, I know you feel like that ain't a lot of money, but it's a lot of people here watching right now. And girls that's getting $200 a month child.
$600-700 a month in the state of New York City. You do the math.
Oh, I done the math. I've been in child support, bro. I went to jail for it. And if he's contributing $6,700, that means your mom's got the other half. It ain't just for him to take care of you. She got to take care of you.
If I told you right now, right, you got to start your life over right now with $6,700 a month and rebuild your life.
Yes.
Can you do it?
With $6,700, I can.
You
with
have
$6,700, yes, I can. I'm from the I'm from either budget. $6,700, I'm good.
That's what I'm
saying, nigga.
So I think in that moment, Marquis was kind of shocked that they were saying that they were good. You know, that he was saying he was good. $6,700 is more than enough for him to rebuild his life with in New York State, New York City. Hell, for a lot of us, we can swing that 100 ways, okay? And so, Marquis apparently did not grow up that way with his mother. They wanted the best. They wanted top notch. And so he feels as though $6,700 was not enough. So when Marquis' mother, Shaniqua and 50 was together, she says that he wasn't working. He was only drug dealing, selling drugs on the street. Hell, for a lot of people, that's considered working, okay? It depends on who you talk to. But she said she carried the load. She was paying bills. I guess that's why she thought she was entitled, although they were not together when he made it big and was in the money. She felt as though she should have gotten a part of that because she was working to maintain him when he had nothing. And so when he got something, she felt as though she deserved part of it because she held him down when he had nothing.
Yeah, I worked. He wasn't working. He was this big, six-figure drug dealer that he was claiming to be. And I worked and I took care of us. Like, it's just sort of like this. You have a wife and she's going through medical school and you work until she gets her medical degree and become a doctor. That's exactly how it was.
So she used the analogy of someone becoming a doctor, going to school, and the wife is holding the doctor, the person down, or vice versa. They become a doctor, and then after they become a doctor, they don't feel as though they got to give the person anything. So this is how she feels, as though 50 made it, and so now she's entitled to some part of that money. So she said she left him at the height of his career because he was abusive. And maybe she didn't know how much he was going to be really worth, because the height of his career, he was not in this type of money, okay? Sure, he was making the songs, etc., and getting money. And then she figured she was going to get a part of that so she can now leave him and maybe move on with her life with whatever money he's giving her. She thought she was going to be getting more, because remember, he was giving her $25,000 a month, and she said that wasn't enough. She probably figured, okay, $100,000 would suffice. So when he said he was taking her to court and let the judge decide, she figured, okay, let the court decide. You're going to see, I'm going to be getting half of what you have to support this child because of the lifestyle. But what she did not figure on was that the fact that the lifestyle that her child was accustomed to was not the same as 50, because he was in New York City with the mama. He was not with 50. So the lifestyle was different, and that's what the judge determined, that the lifestyle that Marquise had with his mama in New York City, that was how much money he was going to get. She was going to get for him. That's $6,700. So they may cry and squawk and bark, but it was decided by the court. It was not decided by 50 cents. Now, if she was smart, she would have ran with that $25,000 a month, and she would have been sitting pretty today.
Abusive man. He's abusive physically and mentally abusive.
Okay.
It's well documented.
And, as a woman, I understand when she said she had to flee because of domestic abuse and she had to leave him. But that does not mean that she should poison the child against the father. And a lot of women do that. If they and the man are separated, they did not get along, the relationship is done, it's a wrap, then a lot of women feel as though the child should not be seeing the father and vice versa. And they forget that it took two to bring that child into the world. They did not bring that child into the world by themselves. So that man has a right to see his children. And a lot of women, when the man says, okay, you don't want me to see the child, that's fine. And then they go around later on saying, well, he never saw his child. He didn't come around for birthdays. He did not come around for New Year's. He did not come around, etc. But they forget that they're the ones who were instrumental originally by telling the father that he can't see the child. Now, Marquis said 50 did not come around for his birthday. He did not come for his graduation, etc. But we don't know the conversation that went on between 50 and Marquis' mother.
But we went to court. He took me to court for child support.
Okay,
right?
so he was a willing participant. He was trying to be in Mark's
Yes.
life.
He took me to court, right?
Okay.
He initiated court proceedings. This is what the judge had said that he had to pay. So now, the number that I received was partly based on his testimony, excuse me, saying that he was going to provide money for vacation, extracurricular activities, clothing, it's based on lifestyle. I don't know if you know, like the law in New York, well, I'm sure it's kind of universal in the sense that the percentages are the same or different. It's 17% for one, 22% for two. But when a certain tax bracket, it's called lifestyle.
So we got into the lifestyle. And the lifestyle, the judge ruled, according to Marquis' lifestyle at the time, since he was with his mother and he was being raised with his mother, that's the lifestyle that she was going to get the money for. And that was the $6,700. Now, she's talking about vacations and extracurricular activities. Guess what? That $6,700 includes all of that. So now here is Shaniqua explaining life with 50 Cent when they were together.
Well, we had a house fire during the court proceedings, and we lost everything. And he got all the insurance money. He was trying to kick us out the house. He got all the insurance money. So we only had left. We lost. Thank God we had our lives, right?
So Shaniqua says during the court proceedings of the child support, there was a house fire and they lost everything. They had to just get away from the fire with their lives, okay? Jump out of the house and run for their lives. And they lost the house and the insurance money. She said 50 cents collected. Well, 50 cents give her the money to buy the house. I'm sure he was paying for the insurance. That's why he got the insurance money. And if he's paying for the insurance, why would he not get the money? It makes sense that he would be the one collecting the money if the house went up in flames or if something else happened to the house. So I don't know what she was complaining about when she said that he left with the money, he got insurance money. Yeah, he should get the insurance money because he was paying for the insurance. I'm sure she wasn't paying for the insurance because a $2 million home, the insurance is going to be high. And since she wasn't working anywhere at the time, allegedly, just collecting the money for child support, I'm sure she wasn't paying for the insurance based on that.
We had minor smoke inhalation, but we lost everything. We jumped out of a second-story window. All we had was the pajamas we jumped out of the window with. That's it. And he got all the insurance money.
Well, she didn't even have to answer that question because we already know what the judge ruled. $6,700 a month instead of her sitting pretty with $25,000 a month. So 50 was asked a question if he loved his son, and he said, yeah, but how long can you love somebody that don't love you back? But I'm going to answer that. When it comes to your child, you love them forever, even if they don't love you.
You ask yourself how long, a complicated question would say, how long can you love something that don't love you back?
Like I said before, you go to your grave loving your kids, even if they don't love you, because you spit them out. You put your seed there, you put your egg there, you know, the egg and that sperm united to form that kid, and it was done out of love. So you love that child forever, even if they don't love you.
Like many kids from his generation, Marquise has always been into sneakers. Because he's my son, he couldn't just rock any old sneakers either. If a new pair of Jordans came out, he had to have them right away. His mom developed an entitlement that cannot be met. There have been a lot of disappointing moments in my relationship with Marquise over the past few years. But the lowest was when I saw him post a picture of himself with Kyle McGriff, the son of Kenneth Supreme McGriff.
So there you heard 50 talking about how Marquise got everything he wanted. His mother would go out and grab the newest pair of sneakers if he wanted, whatever color, whatever came out. He'd get it right away because 50 was sending her enough money to make sure that he got what he wanted. But I think he said the lowest point for him in the relationship was when he posted up with Kyle McGregor in a nightclub. But after the story broke, I think if his son had give him a call and say, listen, Dad, I posted up with this guy, didn't even know who he was. This other guy told me to take pictures with this young man. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know it was the son of the guy who shot you and nearly killed you. And I think this could have been ironed out if his son had just made the one phone call. Or even if 50 had put a call through to his son for an explanation, that could have been squashed, that particular incident. So here's Kyle on an interview explaining how he didn't know who Marquise was. He was just told to take the picture with this guy. But this is exploitation. Whoever took the picture of both of them were exploiting these two young men, knowing that they were going to get some money for this picture. Maybe they sold it to one of the tabloids, or maybe they just ran it on their YouTube channel and made money because it probably went viral. But this was exploitation, and these two innocent young men did not know they were being set up. And of course, when 50 Cent saw it, it even put a bigger strain in their relationship.
Told me to take the picture. Gee, I didn't even know who it was. He didn't tell me till after we left out of the club.
I'm having more issues with my son's mother. Holy shit! Put the music down. How you don't got no issues with me?
Yeah, you live on the radio.
So 50 Cent is having his radio interview, and lo and behold, baby mama call, okay? Shaniqua calls in, and they're kind of stunned, but they're going to roll it anyway. They're going to let it roll. And so they're beginning to interview her, and 50 Cent and her is going back and forth. So here's the clip.
Yes, you are. Now tell him how you told my son to call me and tell me he need 50 pairs of sneakers for back to school.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
You said he said somebody else got a whole bunch of pairs of sneakers.
He said a boy in his class started on him and said he has 50 pairs of sneakers. And Marquise said, how the hell does he have 50 pairs of sneakers? And his father's a lawyer. My dad's on the Forbes list. That's exactly.
So they all busted out laughing, but 50 Cent was serious. He was, he's about his money game. He's not about throwing money away. And so he's questioning his baby's mother why his son needs 50 pair of shoes. And if that's not what she said, she should have corrected him and put him on the right track.
Then why you didn't be a responsible parent and say, look, you don't need 50 pairs of shoes.
And so she said, no, she didn't say that. She said 20 pair, not 50, 20. He needs 20 pair of sneakers. So 50 Cent just said, see what I'm dealing with? And they all busted out laughing after she made that statement because it was so ridiculous. Why does a young man need 20 pair of designer sneakers at a time? And then you're going to hit the father up for another 20 some other time. Marquise probably have a whole closet full of sneakers. He probably have so many that he got tags hanging off of some of them. So this is why 50 Cent says he knows his son loves sneakers so much that he was going to buy the entire sneaker inventory from the guy who was going out of business and set up an online sneaker business that his son can run. And then he'd have all the sneakers in the world to choose from because he would be the owner of this sneaker business. But his son or the baby mama could not see the vision to be self-made, a self-made millionaire. I think 50 Cent would have respected his son and throw millions into that business. I think he would have respected the fact that he made an effort, that he's trying to get his own, that he's not sponging off of his father, looking for a handout. There's more respect with that than you putting your hand out every time for a crumb.
He could do 20. That's impossible.
20 pairs of sneakers.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
I don't have kids, so I can't comment.
You ain't average.
I'm sorry, boss.
The ain't average.
So there it is. We just heard what Shaniqua said. He is not average, okay? And so that's where Marquise is getting all this stuff from, that he's not an average child, that he should not be dressing in everyday things and he should have it all. That is called entitlement, Mr. Marquise. So now here's 50 Cent explaining when he first got together with Shaniqua how it was, how they were just up and coming and they were young. He was hustling.
When I first got together with Shaniqua, neither of us had much. We were both living in what we perceived to be the bottom. Our goals didn't extend much past having a decent place to stay and fresh clothes to wear. Then my situation changed, and I suddenly had resources at my disposal. A lot of resources. And I wanted to share them with Shaniqua. We weren't together anymore, but she was the mother of my son. She was with me before the fame, and I acknowledged and respected that. She saw me rise, and I wanted to help her find her own success. With that in mind, I would ask her, what do you want to do with your life? Did she want to go to school? Did she want to learn interior design? Fashion? I kept asking her to identify the occupation that would provide her with some kind of purpose that could provide both wealth and personal satisfaction. Not only would this be good for her personally, but I also wanted our son to be raised by someone who had a career of her own. But no matter how many times I asked, Shaniqua never had an answer for me. I'd bring up different possibilities and scenarios, but there was never a connection. It was incredibly frustrating. I didn't like sending a check every month to someone who didn't seem to have any interest in working. She might as well have been on welfare back in the hood. The only difference here was she was getting a bigger check from me than she would have from Uncle Sam.
So now I think the public now has a glimpse into how 50 Cent felt back then. That he didn't feel as though he had to take care of her or help her to accomplish her goals and dreams and aspirations, but he wanted to because she was the mother of his child, and he wanted his child to be raised in a positive environment. If he saw his mother achieving those goals for herself, then he would go about achieving goals for himself.
It finally came to a head one day when I was visiting her and Marquise one weekend. So what do you want to do? I asked her once again. She looked at me, rolled her eyes, and said, ain't nobody working if they don't have to. Oh shit, I sputtered. I suspected people thought that way, but no one had been ill enough to actually say it out loud in front of me. You already did it, she said firmly. So why should I have to do it too? I'm good. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but it was one of the most shocking conversations of my life. And I've had a lot of conversations people would consider shocking. I'm extremely serious about the value of hard work. I believe it creates not only success, but happiness too. You can never feel satisfied if you're not applying yourself to something you feel passionate about. When Shaniqua said, ain't nobody work if they don't have to, it was like she was dismissing everything I believed in. At that moment, I knew things would never be right between us. We just saw the world different ways. I was disgusted that she didn't want to work, and she was disgusted that I thought she should. I understand that she had the responsibility of raising our son largely on her own. I tried to apply less pressure on her when he was younger because of that. But once he was in his teens and didn't need someone holding his hand every second, I hope Shaniqua would finally start to show some ambition. There was a period where she made some noise about getting into real estate. I thought that was a great idea. Atlanta was a growing market, and I offered to pay for the classes she would need to get her license. But after a few months, it was clear that the passion wasn't there. She wasn't excited walking into a house for her first time and envisioning all the possibilities for it, or by taking her older property, fixing it up, and flipping it for a profit. She just liked that being a real estate agent was something you could do from home. Of course, nothing ever happened. Looking back, I can see that the moment Shaniqua said, ain't nobody working if they don't have to, is when our relationship hit the point of no return. Up until then, I had visions that we could still fashion some sort of partnership. Maybe not romantically, but at least as parents with a common goal. A business we could start that would benefit our son down the road. When it was clear that she not only did not share that vision, but was actually offended by it, my attitude towards her completely changed.
So there you have it, folks. 50 Cent said he was willing to help. He was willing to guide her. He was willing to fund whatever business that she had in mind for herself. But when you're dealing with someone who don't have ambition, lack the drive, maybe she got some ambition, but she lacked the drive. You know, there's an old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. This is one of those situations where he was trying to help her, but he could not make her go into business, although that was his desire for her. She lacked the ambition to carry it through. She just wanted to sit and collect that money.
Yes, it is sad. It's a sad situation, right? And when you pray for success, you don't necessarily pray for the things that come with it, right? And there's no such thing as success without jealousy, without envy, or entitlement. Entitlement is growing in someone you love, and the scariest part, right? And his mom developed an entitlement that cannot be met. Filtering that energy through his actual personal interests. Let's say now that he's starting to like females, he's conscious of what kind of shoes he want to wear. I need these Jordans, the retro Jordans that's coming, different things. And then his mother go, all right, I'll get them for you, but it just bothers me because you're supposed to have them all. So while being a privileged child, he feels deprived. When you had everything I didn't have. I can tell you how much my kids cost in New York State, $1.360. You see what I'm saying? And I don't have an issue with paying the support. The reason why I'm the way I am, with those kind of situations, I pay my support that year to the baby's born. Move the money to the account, and it automatically disperses a certain amount of money per each month. So with him, I noticed over the years like it developed, because I blamed on his mom for a long time. But it's not his mother, it's him. Like, I'm going places where he was at, he left.
50, you love me, son?
I used to. You ask yourself how long, a complicated question would say, how long can you love something that don't love you back?
And with that statement, I hear the pain in his voice, you know. I hear the pain, I hear the hurt, and I hope Marquise is not doubling down and he's going to be more angry. What he needs to do is really reach out to his dad, because his dad does love him. I don't care if 50 Cent says he no longer loves him based on everything that has happened. Guess what? Both of them have life, they're breathing, and as long as they have life and they have breath, everything is fixable. Because remember, what's going on between 50 and his son is only words, okay? They haven't hurt each other physically. It's just words going back and forth. So all that is fixable. I don't care what anybody says.
And in this experience, you look and you say, I didn't think success would cost me my firstborn, but it's the situation. It's like my grandfather would say, you rattle like a snake. If it's slither like a snake, is it a snake or do you need to be bit? Right? And that's the Aiken, South Carolina, and this is the country, she'll say. And what he keeps saying is, every time you see the boy, you show up with somebody you got a problem with. What does that take?
So it's clear that 50 Cent had a lot of problems with his son over the years, but none so disappointing than when Marquise took a picture with Kyle in the nightclub, the son of the man who shot him. I think that was the dagger in his heart.
My relationship with Marquise over the past few years. But the lowest was when I saw him post a picture of himself with Kyle McGriff, the son of Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Without rehashing too much bad history, Kenneth McGriff was one of the biggest drug dealers in Queens, and the man the authorities believe was behind the attempt on my life. So by posing with his son, Marquise was basically co-signing the individual who might have tried to have his father killed. People will always try to make relationships on a common bond of dislikeness. Like, be friends with you because your enemy is my enemy. Yeah. And he sees himself that way. To the extent where he's actually taking pictures with Preem's son or doing different things that, and you go, well, I'm like, I don't even understand where your motivation comes from with these things, but.
Can you excuse any of that because of how young he is?
No, he's 23 years old, 24 years old. It's not a baby no more, it's a grown man.
And so that's the bottom line, folks. He's not a baby anymore. He's a grown man. So Marquise got to wise up and stop showing out, and maybe his mother needs to talk to him that he's going to clown on these streets and get himself killed if he don't stop. You know, because if he's rubbing elbows with enemies of his father, he's playing a very dangerous game. This is not how you get back to your father if you feel as though he's wronged you by not giving your mother enough money in raising you. You sit down and talk to him man to man. So on Power 95 with Ebro and Charlemagne, the question was asked, what would 50 have to do to mend the relationship with his son? He said he don't know, because he ran into him like 2 months before the child support was finished, and they didn't really have a conversation. And the place he ran into him was at the jeweler's. And so the son was trying to make a bigger diamond chain out of two little ones. And 50 Cent said he could not help but to wonder, is that where his money is going? Into all this material stuff like chains and diamonds and etc.
Negotiating, putting two small diamond chains back to get a bigger diamond chain with the money I'm mailing you.
So another part of the interview, 50 said that Shaniqua said to him, how come you didn't tell me that you bought Mike Tyson's house? He said, for what? You're not going to be living in it. Why should I have to tell you that information? So what he did, he gave her the same amount of money that he gave his grandmama to buy her house. He gave her the same amount to buy a house for herself. Because although they were not in a relationship at the time, he felt an obligation because she was raising his son. And that's the decent thing to do.
I gave her the same money that I gave my grandmother to buy my grandmother's house, for her to pick out a house and buy her house. And you go there until you figure out what you want to do. If you don't want to do nothing, you're not coming with me stand like that. She was like, you did it already. Don't nobody work without have to work. You already did it.
So guys, drop it in the comment section. How you feel about 50 expressing himself and saying, look, I needed a woman who is motivated. Of course, their relationship was long over. But I feel in my heart, if she had put forth the effort, maybe he would have came back. But of course, a lot of guys cannot forgive a woman cheating on them. So maybe he wouldn't have came back, but at least he would have been giving her more money, maybe in child support. Although the judge ruled $6,700, he probably would have said, listen, I'm going to give you the same $25,000. Don't worry about it. Because I honestly believe he did love her. And in a way, still love her. But he can't see himself back there going back to her because she cheated. A lot of guys will cheat on a woman, but the minute that woman cheats on them, it's over for them. Because in their mind, it's a betrayal. But it's not a betrayal when the shoe is turned, okay? When it's on the other foot and they're doing all the cheating. It's funny how men think. So I know some of you guys would view this as nothing. Then you'd look at it as two young men just taking a picture and it was innocent. And sure, that could be. But when you're dealing with the language on the street, the fact that Kyle and Marquise took this picture in 50 Cent's mind, being that he's from the street, it simply means that his son, Marquise, was posing with the son of the guy who shot him or put out a hit on him, according to what was put out there on the news, sending 50 a message that he co-signed. That's all that meant. Street lingo. And that's all that meant to him. So he felt as though his son, he could not trust his son. And that's why 50 used the analogy about his grandfather telling him, if it looks like a snake, what is it going to take for you to believe it's a snake? The snake got to bite you for you to believe that it's a snake? So that's all he was saying. Can't trust his son no more. He's not going to wait for his son to do him harm to believe that he's one of the enemies. And so I believe they could have worked anything out. I still believe they can work it out. They can agree to disagree. They can agree to be cordial, but not love on each other like a father and son would, because that trust is gone. But at least my hope is for both of them to communicate and communicate off the internet. Because when it goes on the internet, then it takes on a whole new personality, okay? And people interject. Everybody got something to say. And 50 is reading the comments. Marquise is reading the comments. Marquis' mother is reading the comments. And everybody got something to say. So they never resolve the issue of father and son not having a relationship. So hopefully they can resolve it off of the internet. Here's the audio of Marquis' mother accusing 50 Cent of trying to burn her up in the house and his son.
Upset. If he can't have me, he'd be like, no one can. He's upset. He's very upset. He threatened me on Monday. He did. He threatened me. Look, watch what I'll do. I'll have someone come kill you. He threatened me. He threatened me on Monday, and this is what he did. This is what he's trying to do. He's trying to kill me and his own child. What do you think? Did you see anything? Someone threw something through the window, and the house just ignited. Couldn't even make it downstairs. We had to jump out the window. Do you think he hired someone to do it? Yes, of course. I know. He's too much of a coward to do anything himself. And they saw the evidence that I had. We had an express oral agreement, and I have proof that he said that, and this is what happened. He knew I was going to get that house.
But if she was going to get the house, let's say she was going to get the house for the sake of argument, how was she going to pay the taxes? Because the taxes on a $2 million house is thousands of dollars. So I guess she was going to take it out of Marquis' child support, or maybe she would just sell the house and, get that money and buy something else cheaper, downsize. But in any event, what do you guys think about Shaniqua's allegation about 50 Cent trying to burn her up in the house as well as his son. She said they had to jump through the second-story window. And those are some serious allegations. But she did file a lawsuit for, what was it, $50 million, but it didn't go anywhere. I guess it got shut down as soon as it went to court, maybe. Any event, that's the state of affair. And she did admit that she did cheat on 50 Cent because she said he had a lot of women. He was cheating on her, so she cheated on him. But let me tell you something, YouTubers. Too wrong does not make a right, okay? Because your man cheats on you does not mean you're going to defile your body, defile yourself, open up your legs, and have any Tom, Dick, and Harry jump in between you because you want to get even. Does not make sense. Anyway, YouTubers, I'm over and out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And drop your comments if you want to elaborate any further on this video. Thank you for watching.